Welcome to the MTA International Studios in Silver Spring, Maryland. I'm Mohammed Chaudhary, and this is another show with Open Forum. Today we'll be talking about the roles of mosques in America and around the world. There are thousands of mosques around the world. There are over 2,200 mosques in America. What are their roles? Some argue that the role of a mosque are to spread evil and hatred. Others argue it's a place for peace and bringing communities together. Today we have two imams from across the country in America with us today who will share their perspective. First we have Imam Hamad Ahmed, who is the imam in the Batul Rahman Mosque in Silver Spring, Maryland. Welcome to the show.
Jazakallah, thanks for having us.
And we have Imam Salman Sheikh, who is the imam in San Francisco, California.
Jazakallah for having me.
Great. Thank you for being on the show. So let's get started. Tell me, what does mosque mean? What is the role of a mosque? And how do people participate in the roles of mosques?
The word mosque is an anglicized version of the word masjid. Masjid in Arabic means a place where you prostrate, the place of prostration. So a mosque really is just a place of worship in Islam. And when we look at the wider picture that Islam presents, it's a community center for Muslims, a place where Muslims gather to worship one God and to serve the creation of God. That is, in essence, the role of a mosque in the life of a Muslim.
And set the stage for us. How many mosques are, there's 2,200 in America. How many mosques are there of the Ahmadi Muslim community in America and around the world?
Well, around the world, we have built about 1,500 mosques.
I've heard of 16,000 actually.
Oh, wow.
Around the world,
okay.
right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in actuality, I believe we have about 74 chapters within the United States.
And
yes.
so you are the largest organized Muslim community in America with mosques around the country.
Yes.
So and you guys are coast to coast. So we have some reference points. So let's get started. What is the role of a mosque in a community? I've heard lots of argument that it's to spread hate and to spread evil in the world, to indoctrinate youth and adults, to lead them astray.
The role of a mosque in a Muslim's life is to spread the teachings of peace and tolerance. You know, Islam is a religion that is based on the tenets of peace, tolerance, and justice. The word Islam means peace. You know, so when a Muslim is a believer in the religion of Islam, comes to a mosque, he comes to learn about the religion which teaches peace. It teaches us how to worship God in peace. It teaches us how to get along with people in peace. So this notion that mosques are places where people will come to learn terrorism and violence and, you know, subjugation of different sections of society, this is a completely misappropriated notion that we have in today's world.
How can you say that? Because there's a lot of extremists out there, and there's some data from around the world that they all started off in being indoctrinated inside mosques. I mean, we've seen data around this.
You know, the thing is that we tend to forget, just when we talk about mosque, we're talking about a place of worship which focuses everything around God. And towards, first of all, within Islam, we have the rights of God and then the rights of mankind. So going to the mosque, we not only learn about the rights of God, taking part in worship, but also taking care of the rights of the people. Now, if those mosques which are projecting hate and violence and terrorism against the general public, then it is totally against the Islamic teachings to what they are doing.
But practically speaking, I mean, that's great fundamental teachings of Islam, but practically speaking, are there mosques out there, are there individuals out there who leverage a mosque to spread evil, to indoctrinate people towards extremism? Aren't there?
There might be some mosques which are actually doing that currently. But again, we have to come back to the true teachings of Islam. What does Islam teaches us? That what should be taught in a mosque? And that is the peaceful teaching of Islam. It has nothing in a way or sort where people get indoctrinated, they learn about terrorism and violence within the mosque, and then they go, and in actuality, mosque is a place of worship, and it teaches peace.
They're not doing the right thing. There's bad people in the world. Is that the and there are some people who leverage that location to do bad things?
So exactly, even if there are mosques that do teach and preach hatred and extremism and violence, the true teachings of Islam completely condemn and denounce these kind of activities. That's why the Ahmadiyya Muslim community has launched a True Islam campaign. You know, we hold weekly coffee, cake, and True Islam events in our mosques where we invite all peoples of all faiths to come to a mosque, see how we operate, see what we do, and learn about the religion of Islam. You know, we hold blood drives in our mosques every year on 9/11 to commemorate.
Really? In your mosques?
In our mosques. So we do this to raise blood to save lives, in contrast to the lives that were lost on 9/11 by those hijackers. So even if there are mosques that teach extremism, come to a mosque of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, attend our coffee, cake, and True Islam events, attend a blood drive, attend our open houses,
So
book fairs.
are you distinguishing the mosque of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community from other mosques? Is there a notable difference between the two?
If you come to a mosque of the Ahmadiyya community and go to any other mosque, then of course we do believe there is a difference in our mosque in the sense that we are Muslims who believe in the Messiah. And we follow the teachings of Islam as taught to us by the Messiah, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad of Qadian.
So unified leadership leads to a different way you guys carry out. I mean, someone can't just come into your mosque and preach hate. There would be a lot of prevention for that versus other locations. Is that the argument?
Exactly. All of our mosques are headed by missionaries or presidents who all answer to the Khalifa of the worldwide Ahmadiyya Muslim community. And his teachings guide us today. His teachings, the addresses he gives in worldwide parliaments and in all of his tours, where he teaches us that mosques are places of peace and worship, where he teaches us that Islam is a religion of peace. All of this trickles down through all of our mosques.
And he's, His Holiness Mirza Masroor Ahmad, he's gone and he's inaugurated several mosques around the country just over the past few years in Europe, in Japan, in Canada. I know he gives public addresses. How are they perceived? How does the local community take this? Because this is a data point of more than one neighborhood.
You know, in this regard, I remember that when His Holiness visited Spain, he emphasized this point to the general public who live around the mosque.
What did he say?
And he basically said that we Ahmadi Muslims are not here to cause you any disturbance, but rather we are here to serve. We are here to share with you the community, to join you in your activities and live peacefully and happily with you. These are the words that His Holiness has mentioned to educate the people that in originality, the main purpose of the mosque is to spread peace.
So coming to America, you know, there's data out there by Pew that 64% of Americans have never knowingly met a Muslim. Do you, in your mosque, do you have visitors come and who just want to see and have conversations? Does that happen? Can you give an example?
This happens today at Jummah, at our Jummah services. A non-Ahmadi Muslim, a Quaker, actually came to the mosque, attended Jummah. I spoke to him for 2 hours after, and he said to me that your Ahmadiyya interpretation of Islam is the interpretation I support. I don't believe in Islam, I don't believe in the Quran, but if this is the version of Islam that you wish to support, then I will help you support your version of Islam.
So you got, how about in the California and the left coast?
Exactly. Regarding this, you know, we have started a new form of education plan, Coffee, Cake, and True Islam, just Imam Hamad mentioned.
What is that? What are you trying to achieve with that?
What we are trying to do is have anybody come to our doorstep and have a cup of coffee with us, and with that, learn about Islam, learn about the true teachings of Islam. We're not trying to preach, we're just trying to educate to people what Islam really is. Because, again, according to the survey, not many people know about Islam, and the core message that we're giving out is that Muslims are genuine human beings.
How is this campaign perceived?
Oh, it's been welcomed very well, actually. I've talked to many people who have come first time, whom I have never seen ever before. And they've come down and they've all supported this plan of action that we're taking, starting from our mosques, and going forward with that.
And there's a new political environment in America due to transition in power. All those things play into this and towards some folks' fears and towards some folks' sensibilities towards Muslims. Are you seeing that as well as mosques, a place of gathering for people to come and support this around your mosque around the country?
So the day after the elections, I had two school groups came and I gave them a tour of the mosque. The teacher, I've known the teacher for 3 years, and he said something very interesting to me. He said that I feel like, as a white American, that, you know, when a terrorist attack happens in the world and a Muslim is behind it, you feel like you have to apologize even though you don't have to. He said, today I feel like I need to apologize to you for this election. Even though I don't have to, I had no fault in it, I feel like I have to apologize to you. So there's been an outpouring of support and love. There was a lady who came by and gave me her card and said, any way we can work with you to support you and make sure you feel welcome, you know, let's work together on this. So this is the response we've received here.
So let's unravel this a little bit more. Based on human rights, I'm sure you would agree that we should not have surveillance in mosques. We should not have an open door policy. How people worship should be separate. Are you of that view?
We do believe there should be a separation of mosque and state, but if the government wants to come and surveillance the mosque, then we are open to that. You know, our mosque is a place where there's nothing in our mosque that is against the tenets of the United States of America. We believe in loyalty to our country. So there's nothing in our mosque that we will do that we will be against the interests of the United States of America.
So would you be open to that as well?
Yeah, of course, because you know, His Holiness, the current worldwide head of the Ahmadi Muslim community, he also openly stated that the governments should have their personnel go and visit mosques,
really, and
regulate what is going on. So that way, the government also knows.
So transparency is important.
Of course.
Great, interesting. But most Muslims don't agree with that, right? That they want separation and privacy, and it's a violation of their human rights.
The main core about the Islamic teachings is that loyalty to the country of residence is part of your faith. Everything that is being taught in the mosque, everything that is being preached in the mosque, it cannot go against the state. So if something which is being taught in the mosque against the state, then it is against the Islamic teachings as well. So therefore, it is, we as Ahmadi Muslims, we don't believe that it is a kind of privacy issue as such. But in actuality, we feel that it's even better for us that people would know us more openly, and they would accept the peaceful message that
not only that, but if there are mosques that preach hatred and violence and extremism, then we as Muslims want those other mosques to be rooted out. They should be shut down. The government should come shut those mosques down, because that is harmful to us as citizens. You know, I don't want to be in a shopping mall or in a mall or plaza where it's blown up because of a terrorist. I would want them to be caught and those mosques to be shut down.
That's a great point. So let's transition to another point, perhaps a little more sensitive, and I know you guys are males, so you can represent this well, but there's a perception of mosques how men and women are separated, that women are subjugated to one section, they can't go on both sides. There have been claims that Islam believes in equal rights, and so why separate them? Why not allow people to go wherever they want?
Because in order to give equality, you have to respect differences rather than ignore differences. Yes, mosques have separate areas for men and women, but if you go to any mosque of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, there's equal spaces given to men and women to hold their own activities. Yes, women can come to the man's area, but a man cannot go to a woman's area either.
So wait, women can come to a men's area?
No, she cannot. Women cannot come to the men's, but men cannot go to the women's areas either. This separation is there to give them both their space, hold their own independent activities. You know, we look at
why can't they work together? Why can't they sit together? Where's the harm in that?
Islam teaches us that Islam is a religion, and we find this in hadith of the Prophet of Islam, sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
What is hadith?
In a saying of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, where he tells us that every religion has a value. The value of Islam, defining characteristic, is the value of modesty. So Islam teaches us that we should be modest in all of our interactions, and so it does limit the interactions between genders in Islam, because this does give rise to illicit relationships. And you know, in any major religion of the world, these relationships are looked down upon, whether it's fornication, adultery, all of these things. So when there is open mixing of the genders, this is what, you know, it gives rise to these relationships.
But don't you think, I mean, I see where this is going and I understand, but don't you think that, I mean, throughout society they're together in schools and workplaces, but this place, they're separated. Why only separate here?
Let me tell you this, that in the beginning, Islam started off at the time of Prophet Muhammad with one mosque. Peace be upon him, with one mosque. And at that time, men and women used to pray together in one mosque. Men used to be at the front, and the women used to be at the back. And this concept of praying together started with Islam. If you look at other religions, there was definite segregation between.
So there's precedence.
Of course. And on top of that, once the need arose, later on, there were separate sections which were built within the mosque for the females and the male membership to practice their faith openly, freely, without having to look around the shoulder. And especially in the Ahmadi Muslim community, each and every mosque that we built, we make sure that there's enough space for men and women to come and worship.
So I get the physical equality. You know, the room sizes, I assume, are the same on both sides. The bathroom sizes are the same on both sides, or hopefully even larger on the women's side for men to be deferential. But I'm still trying to understand. So the first mosque, they were together. Is the argument that they were uncomfortable? Women, had to cover their heads and whatnot. They wanted to be more relaxed, so they can have a separate room where men won't enter, so they can be more relaxed. Is that the argument? And they can practice their faith more freely and not have thoughts of the opposite sex. Is that the argument?
Exactly. When you come to a mosque, you want to come to a mosque focused on your worship. Every human being has an innate attraction to the opposite gender. When you come to the mosque, you want to be focused on your worship. So of course, at that time, they were praying together front and back. But that's because resources were limited. They didn't have enough space. When resources grew, it makes sense to give each their independent space where they can freely, without worry of the opposite gender being there, without the attraction, without any of these things, you can focus solely on the worship of God.
Now, I know you guys are men, though. In your congregations in the Washington area and in the San Francisco Bay Area, do women accept this? I mean, are they open to this? Do they appreciate this?
Oh yes, especially starting with my own wife. She feels independent going to the mosque, and especially a space which is solely dedicated for women to go and worship one God. And in that way, they get to express their prayers or their feelings in a much secluded way, where
they can do it. Great,
exactly.
Great. Let me go on to another topic. A lot of mosques we see, they have these round domes. They almost look like missiles. I assume they're called minarets. What is the purpose of those things? What was the original purpose, and does it still hold?
The purpose of a minaret, when we look at the history of Islam, was in Islam, every prayer begins with what we call azan, a call to a prayer. So this notifies the general public that the time for prayer has begun. So this man named him, called him Muazzin, would get up onto the minaret, and from the minaret he would make the call to prayer, and from a high place his voice would be able to reach the wider area and call people to prayer.
Kind of like a loudspeaker. I mean,
exactly.
You want to project your voice. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So now that we have loudspeakers and time and all that, what's the purpose now?
Now they're there as a traditional symbol or emblem of a mosque. It's part of traditional architecture. In terms of the function of a mosque, if you actually look at the origins of Islam, all you need for a mosque is a demarcated place of worship. A mosque technically does not need to have a dome or a minaret. It just needs a place of worship. These are things that make a mosque look beautiful. It's distinguishing that when you look at it, you know it's a mosque. You can tell a synagogue, a temple, a church.
You want so it's symbolism, but it's important symbolism. Is that how you to distinguish? If I drive by and I'm seeing a bunch of buildings, how do I distinguish a mosque? Is that part of the argument?
The whole purpose is to have a purpose-built place where once you enter, you kind of get into that mode. For example, whenever you go outside for a run or something, you'll always wear running shoes and you will dress accordingly and you would go and do your exercise.
Sure.
If you're going to a meeting, you'll dress up properly according to the occasion and you'll go to that meeting and attend that meeting. So therefore, even going towards a mosque with a certain mindset, while looking it from outside, even though it's not needed, but again, it gives you that feeling that you are about to enter a sacred place.
I love your analogies. Whether you're going for a run, you put on shoes. You're going to work, you put on certain clothes. When you're going to a mosque, you want to be able to demarcate, and it's a good one. My last topic is really around, this purpose of Islam, to spread the message of Islam, and mosques are a place to do that. But they're also a community gathering place. You said you have a Muslims for Life campaign where people come to the mosque to actually give blood for people who need it. You said you have a True Islam campaign. Tell me about those campaigns. Tell me about the True Islam campaign.
The main purpose of True Islam campaign is to bring all the Muslims together under one banner. We actually have an 11-point action plan to bring all not only Muslims, but all of the Americans as well, to join together into fight against terrorism.
And these 11 points cover the gamut? I mean, what do they cover?
They cover things from terrorism, extremism, women's rights, to Sharia law, to the concept of the second Latter-day Messiah. It covers, all of the major things that are facing the world today, and it gives you kind of, in a very short summary, what Islam teaches in regards to what is happening in the world today, the misconceptions regarding Islam.
And where do I go to learn about this campaign?
So you can go to our website, trueislam.com. And on that website, you can read about the 11 points, all of the sources of Islam that support the 11 points. And you can also sign off and endorse. If you agree with this, you can endorse the campaign as well.
That's great. This Muslim for Life campaign, tell me about that.
The main purpose of Muslim for Life campaign was in the memory of 9/11 victims. Now,
wow. 9/11 was September 11th when in New York and D.C. there was terrorist attacks.
Exactly. So afterwards, we came out with this campaign, Muslims for Life campaign, and the main purpose is to collect blood, pints of blood, to save lives. Basically, each pint of blood that is collected can save up to 3 lives. So alhamdulillah, by the grace of God, even in one chapter, I can give you an example. We collected about 20,000 pints of blood.
Wow.
And that could literally save about...
that's great. And you both agree that you can do this in a mosque. It's not just to pray. I mean, it's a community gathering place to do good beyond prayer and worship.
Yes, when we look at the life of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, we see during his life the mosque was a place where wounded soldiers were healed. It was a place of healing. Really? It was a place of discussion. It was a school. It was, once there was a time when some people were worshiping, some people were sitting there discussing Islamic knowledge, and the Prophet of Islam said these people are earning more reward because they're involved in intellectual discussion. So it's a school, it's a hospital, it's a community center, it's a place where you can gather and learn, and so it functions as a wide range of things for a Muslim.
And now, what's your take-home message for our viewers? They've learned about a mosque, they've learned the purpose of a mosque, they've learned what's not done in a mosque, they've learned what is done in a mosque. What's your take-home message for our viewers? What should they take away from this?
Come visit a mosque.
Come why? And
come visit a mosque and see for yourself what we're all about.
Great.
Our doors are open, and we're open 24/7, and they can actually visit us anytime. And just like they enter a regular mall or a regular church or any community building, similarly, that is how a mosque is, and everyone is welcome.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for being on the show. So this has been a show about how mosques build peace in the community, peace in society. We learned about what's the distinguishing features of a mosque, like minarets. We learned about what's the purpose of a mosque, to actually spread peace, not hatred, not evil. We also learned about all the various things that can be done in a mosque, from a blood drive to education to healing wounded soldiers. This has been a great education. Please go visit a mosque, go see a mosque for yourself, and learn for yourself. The Ahmadi Muslim community is a great example where they have over 16,000 mosques around the world, over 70 in the United States alone. So they're the largest organized Muslim community, and that's why we had them on the show today. Thank you for joining us. This has been Open Forum from MTA International Studios in Silver Spring, Maryland.